day, ma'am. My name is Mr. Gerald Christopher E. Hernane from BSN Math 1, and my report is about the Chapter 14, Rizal in America. So Rizal first saw America on April 28, 1888. His arrival in this great country is marked by racial prejudice. He saw the discriminatory treatment of the Chinese and the Negros by the white Americans. Arrival in San Francisco was Saturday, April 28, 1888. The steamer Belgic docked at San Francisco. American health authorities did not let the passengers to land for 1 week because of rumored cholera epidemic. Rizal knew that there was no cholera epidemic that time, and he protested with other passengers the unjustifiable actions of American authorities. He soon discovered that it was motivated by politics, and the ship was carrying 643 Chinese coolies. Rizal in San Francisco, May 4, 1888, the day he was permitted to go ashore and registered at the Palace Hotel, which was then considered a first-class hotel in the city. May 4 to 6, 1888, which Rizal stayed in San Francisco.
It was 4:30 in the afternoon, Sunday, May 6, 1888. Rizal left San Francisco for Oakland, 9 miles across the San Francisco Bay by ferry boat. May 7, 1888, it was morning. Rizal woke up and had a good breakfast at Reno, Nevada, which now glamorized by American high-pressured propaganda as the biggest little city in the world. From 7th of May to its 13th, Rizal wrote on his diary the beautiful memories he had from Nevada, Chicago until he reached Albany. May 13, 1888, Rizal reached New York. He stayed 3 days in the city, which he called the Big Town. May 16, 1888, Rizal left New York for Liverpool on board to the city of Rome. He saw the Statue of Liberty on Bedloe
Rizal's
Island.
impression of America consists of good and bad. The good impressions were material progress of the country as shown in great cities, huge farms, flourishing industries, and busy factories. The drive and the energy of the American people, the natural beauty of the land, the high standard of living, and lastly, the opportunities for better life offered to poor immigrants. On the other hand, the bad impressions Rizal had towards America was the lack of racial equality. 2 years after Rizal visited the U.S., Jose Alejandro, who was studying engineering in Belgium, roomed with him. Rizal's impression of America is the land par excellence of freedom, but only for whites.
Chapter 15, Life and Works in London, 1888 to 1889. May 1888 to March 1889, that was when Rizal lived in London, improving his knowledge on the English language, and annotate de morgas successos de las Islas Filipinas, and London was a safe place for him to carry his fight against Spanish tyranny. These were the very reason why Rizal stayed there in London, because of his purpose, a mission to be fulfilled. During his trip across the Atlantic, the American and European passengers were amused of his marvelous skill in yo-yo. He went to London May 25, 1888. He stayed at Dr. Antonio Maria Regidor's home as a guest. At the end of May, he became a boarder at the Beckett's and was called a Pearl of Man by Reinhold Rust. On the other hand, Dr. Ferdinand Blumentritt, noted Filipinologist, Rizal's friend, and the Spanish historian. According to him, Dr. Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas, which was published in Mexico last 1609. Many scholars consider this Philippine history as a much better and honest description of the condition of our country pertaining to the Spanish conquest. Good and bad news from home. Going back to Rizal's home, which is our very own country, Philippines, the only good news was when Reverend Father Vicente Garcia's defense of the Noli. But, on the other hand, the bad news were persecution of the Filipino patriots who signed the anti-prior petition of 1888, persecution of Calamba tenants, then furious attacks on Rizal by Senator Salamanca and Vida in the Spanish Cortes, and Desengaños and Kyop in Spanish newspapers. And Rizal's brother-in-law, Manuel Hidalgo, was exiled in Bohol. Rizal's greatest achievement in London was annotating Morga's books. He spent many days in the reading room of the British Museum, reading Morga's books and the old stories of Philippines. For Rizal, Dr. Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas was the best and excellent book ever. September 1888, Rizal had a short visit to Paris and Spain. He stayed there for a week to study more about historical materials in Bibliothèque Nationale, entertained by a gay French metropolist, by Juan Luna and his wife. December 24, 1888, when Rizal returned to London to spend his Christmas and New Year's with the Beckets. And that was the time he realized and reflected the true essence of Christmas. That for him, Christmas is not as mere as holiday, but it was indeed a remarkable day to remember the birth of Jesus Christ. When Rizal was able to return in London, he first met Mariano Ponce and Marcelo H. del Pilar, and that was the time he was officially involved in the propaganda movement. Among all Filipinos in Europe, he was chosen to be the honorary president. He wrote a letter of thanks to the leader of Association La Solidaridad on January 28, 1889. Going back to the Beckets. Gertrude Beckets, a buxom English girl with brown hair, blue eyes, and pink cheeks. He was so attracted to Rizal and always loved being with him. He even helped Rizal to his paintings and sculptures, but Rizal's faithfulness always belonged to the ones he loved, and that was no other than Leonor Rivera. And that is the very reason why he did not pursue his love.
Good day, everyone. I am Abigail Soria Macas, and our group was tasked to report a chapter 14 and 15 of the life, works, writings of Rizal. So for my part, I am assigned to report the writings in London of Rizal. These include 3, the specimens of Tagalog folklore, the 2 Eastern fables, and the La Solidaridad. So for the specimens of Tagalog folklore, ito ay itinatag ni Nicholas Strubner, isang manininda na aklat at tagapaglathala sa London. May 3 itong kategorya: kasabihan, bugtong, at tula. Sa the 2 Eastern fables, ito ay kinabibilangan ng Filipino folktale, The Monkey and the Turtle, Japan folktale, The Battle of the Monkey and the Crab. So Rizal compared the 2 folktale that it's like they have the same origin. La Solidaridad. This is the organ of the propaganda movement, a newspaper founded by Graciano Lopez Haina in Barcelona on February 15, 1889. La Solidaridad was created due to the reality that mass media is important in propagating the propaganda objectives. Rizal became an active contributor to the newspaper. So before, our heroes really aims to disseminate information on our co-Filipino because of the the abuses of the Spanish people on us, because we are governed by Spanish officials. So that's why they are making this propaganda to awaken the Filipino to fight against the abuses of the Spanish people. So the easiest way to disseminate the information is the newspaper. Unlike today, we are in the 21st century where technology advancement is very prominent. We can easily access information through cell phone, TVs, Next like is Adios London. Rizal was forced to leave London because Gertrude's love for him turned serious. He could not take advantage of her affection, and she would not be happy because Rizal was in love with Leonor Rivera. He decided to move to Paris so she may forget him. So before Rizal leaves London, he carved several fine sculptural works. This includes the Prometheus Bound, the Triumph of the Death over Life, the Triumph of Science over Death, and a composite carving of the heads of the three Becket sisters. For the Prometheus Bound, Rizal used the mythic hero Prometheus as symbolism to further explain his philosophy. In his Noli dedication addressed to the Filipino people, revealed that his aim is not only to expose the Spanish government and the church abuses, but also to remove the veil of ignorance that has kept in countrymen 300 years of ignorance and superstition. This is a clay sculpture created by Jose Rizal and was given to Blumentritt in 1890 Next in Brussels. Is the Triumph of Death over Life. It is a didactic sculpture originally made of the terracotta by Jose Rizal in Brussels, Belgium. The sculpture depicts a skeletal symbol of death embracing a lifeless maiden, symbolizing enlightenment. The third one is the Triumph of Science over Death. It is a clay sculpture made by Jose Rizal as a gift to his friend Ferdinand Blumentritt. It is a statue composed of a naked young woman with overflowing hair, standing on a skull while bearing a torch. The woman symbolizes the ignorance of humankind during the dark ages of history, while the torch she bears symbolizes the enlightenment science brings over the whole world. In the middle of March 1889, Rizal departed for Paris. He was sad as he crossed the English Channel, for he had many beautiful memories on London. So as you can see, Rizal has made so much, lot of dedications and artworks, everything just for the countrymen that is under the abuses of the Spanish governments. So we have so much to thank for him. That's all. Thank you.